want to introduce someone I had the privilege of meeting at last year's My Body Space Symposium. Someone I worked directly with. She was part of the panel I was curating. And I remember walking away thinking, she speaks the language I have been searching for words to describe. Welcome, Carey. Carey van der Zalm is the co-founder and principal architect of CVDZ Architecture in Canada and the award-winning creative director of The Site magazine. Her work lives at the meeting point of the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual. She doesn't just design buildings, she designs thresholds, spaces that remember what we so often forget, that we are not separate from what surrounds us. And today she brings us into healing architecture, designing the soul for evolution. Carey, the space is all yours, and welcome to our space.
Oh, that was so beautiful. Thank you. What an amazing segue, introduction. Beautiful way to begin. Thank you. I am so honored to be here with all of you. And it's so good to see some familiar faces again. And I think pretty much everything that Nerea just said segues into my presentation in the most beautiful way. So I'm not sure it really needs any sort of introduction. So here we go. Healing architecture, designing the soul for evolution. So this is where I find myself. And this is where I found myself. And these are photos that I took on my way up north. I live in Edmonton, Canada, which is quite central north in the prairies of Canada. And it's currently snowing right now, if it gives you any sort of idea of what the current climate landscape experiences for me here. And this is on my way driving up north to even further up north to a very special and sacred project for Indigenous children and families. And I stopped the car and I got out and I looked up at the sky. And this is where spirit and science meet. And this is where form and formlessness meet. And this is where everything was evolving and changing, flashing, strobing above me, shining, bombing, all in an incredible rate and time. And in this moment and in all moments, there was a lot going on, obviously. A lot going on for me and a lot going on for you and a lot going on for the world. And so today is about bringing us back together. It is about a remembering as one under the dark night sky to allow for our own evolution and our own creation's evolution. And this allows us to be who we came here to be. And more importantly, do the things that we came here to do. And this is a circle. And a circle is a representation of wholeness. It's also this ever expansive oneness that is eternity. It is the infinity. And that can be as small as the very pinpoint of a pen, or the very expansiveness of the universe. It represents our unity, our cyclical nature in life. And when we are whole, we have healed. And when we have healed, we can evolve. And it is through our bodies as living centers of intentionality that we choose our world, and the world chooses us. And so the actual definition of intention, look it up, defined intention first, is a thing intended, an aim or a plan. And second of all, it is the healing process of a wound. And so when we're designing for healing architecture and we're designing with consciousness, intention is everything. It finds its way from the very first moment of a project's conception to the very healed outcome that it becomes. And so we use our intention towards our healed outcome, and we establish it for everything that we do. So every time we talk to our colleagues, every time we put our pen to paper, every time we write an email, every time we talk to a contractor on site, every time we talk to our family about what we're doing that day, it's all with the intention towards our healed outcome. And this builds structure and it builds consciousness. So today we will set our intention, as Naria already did in a beautiful way. And today is about a remembering, a literally putting back together, a remembering of our interconnectedness with all things. And so, in your mind's eye, you can close your eyes, and all you see is darkness. And as we create and we come from the void, this is the Big Bang, where we all come from the same thing and we are all made up of the same thing. And this thing is consciousness. And when we open our eyes in our mind's eye, we recognize that from the very Big Bang, we can literally be here expressing ourselves as human beings in our very bodies, and we are alive right now because of stardust, because of what was created and how we were created billions of years ago. And this creates a collective consciousness. And as we open our eyes and we start to see the light that is around us, we experience it and we come to understand our environment and the environments that we create in two seemingly different ways. So as architects, as designers, as healers, we are creating with the Newtonian world as much as the quantum one. And we live in only a quantum one, but we are taught and educated and maybe even informed by our families, by our parents, by our peers, that we live in a Newtonian one, a very linear cause and effect one. But it's scientifically proven we only live in a quantum one. That's what we'll talk about today. But it is important to remember both, because we do have to live in both worlds, I think, to be the bridge in between. And so the quantum is pretty crazy. There's things like superposition where, and we know this as healers, where everything is happening at the same time all the time, and whatever has happened or will happen or is happening is all happening at the same time in that space. And the one that I think we use most clearly is quantum entanglement, which is and means that everything is a reflection, everything is a mirror, everything is a projection as much as it is an embodiment. And in its most simplest form, how we can describe quantum entanglement is what happens to this seemingly quite separate, these two separate things, what happens to one will happen to the other, and vice versa. And so the quantum world knows that I am not separate from that which surrounds me. And the quantum world acknowledges that what I perceive is what I become. And so we are in constant dialogue and interaction with the environment to the degree that it is impossible to detach the image of the self from its spatial and situational existence. And this is emerging. And so this is a symbol of interconnectedness, of which there are many, but this is the one I've been taught how to use. And in its most two-dimensional form, it is a circle that's broken up into the 4 quadrants of the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual self, or whole. And then it's 3-dimensional to 4-dimensional to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and some would say 11. Some don't, and that's okay. Is that it becomes something that is so much more than a representation on a page. It can become and is the representation of everything. And what this does is it shows us the different layers and levels of all things. And at the center is oneness, is us and everything. And you can see this as a fractal, something that is ever, ever expansive, or something that is as small as something as a cell. And at its center is where we find ourselves. And when you have an impact on one of the quadrants, you have an impact on the other 3. So if you make a change or you heal something physically, it will impact it mentally, emotionally, spiritually. If you have a healing, a change to something that's mental, you will experience it physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and so forth. And so when we not only work and engage ourselves or our creations, our buildings, our designs, on anything with all four, when they come together, they are one. And when we are reminded that we are a part of the one, this is where our evolution is.
Thank you, ladies, for being here. Also, a great pleasure to be part of this, to have you all in this beautiful community container space. Name it as you wish. And yeah, it was a pleasure, Carey. Thank you so much. Thank you for.
Thank you. Such an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Carey. Thank you, Nuria.
Take care.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
See you
Bye.
soon.